This is Austin St. John, Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are watching the Morphin Network.
This Morphin Network video is sponsored by Ranger Stop Convention and Ranger Stop and Pop. Have you ever wanted to see all your favorite Power Rangers together in one epic convention? Go to Ranger Stop! Ranger Stop and Pop! August 27th to the 29th, 2021! Atlanta, Georgia! Ranger Stop 8! November 11th to the 14th! Orlando, Florida! Get your tickets now! Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ-owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises such as Dragon Ball, King of the Hill, Sailor Moon, and of course and most importantly, Power Rangers. If you're interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at carsoncorner.com. Link will be down below.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix, an organization that will use Vice stamps in order to help protect humanity against the evil Deadman organization and their use of demons. I am George, and I will be your guide through this humble abode. And this is our latest project, Kamen Rider Revice. I'm just kidding, guys. This is Time Rider Zero. How are y'all doing? I hope you enjoy my very impromptu George cosplay. Yes, this is Kamen Rider Revice's premiere review. I want to thank everyone who supported us in our review of Kamen Rider 01 and Kamen Rider Saber. It's been a crazy year and a half, and it's nice to start things anew this brand new year in Kamen Rider history. And of course, it is the 50th anniversary, still ongoing. And yes, this is Rider Time Podcast, brought to you by Zaya. No, I'm just kidding. But this is our review for Kamen Rider Revice, Episode 1, Family Contract: The Devil Whispers. What did you guys think of the episode? Was it awesome? Did you think it could have stand to improve from anything? Let us know in the comments section. In any case, let's get started. And of course, you're wondering, where's my partner? My dead man. Well, he's too busy being dead because he's not here. I'm just kidding. He's not really dead. He's actually doing some last minute work. So it's gonna be just me, your humble friend George. Okay. But for real though, cosplay time is over, and let's get started. Okay, so this new season starts off in a way that's actually very similar to Kuga, where you have a research team in Southern or Central America investigating. They're investigating some relics, and one such scientist finds what appears to be a stamp. When he accidentally stamps himself, he causes some chaos and calamity, which thankfully there was a camera to record it. Yes, these researchers were here from none other than the Phoenix organization, led by, of course, little me, Mr. George. And of course, they exposit that these Vice stamps actually, when they make contact with humans, they create contracts with demons called Deadman that cause chaos and destruction. And there's an underground organization called Deadman, where they like to wear Mexican attire, like mariachi singers and flamenco dancers. But they have a lot of followers, so it's clearly a cult. And of course, they have their own mummified god that they worship. And of course, who else would be the bride of such a god but this lady right here in her flamenco dress? Yes. So this woman, her name is Aguilara, and she is supposed to be the bride of the main villain Gif. At least I think that's his name. And I'm not even trying to make an internet reference. but yes. So the other two villains are named Olteca and Julio, and yes, they wear very mariachi like attire. Um, but Phoenix organization has developed a way to fight against the dead man, and of course that method is using the Revice driver and Rex Vice stamp as the main tools of Common Writer Revice. And I have to say, going back to the character George, if you remember our review of Common Writer Saber finale, George is a huge Common Writer fan. So, I like to think of George as, one of us Common Writer fans who went so far as to make his own Common Writer. This is like the plot of Big Bad Beetleborgs, but without the Phasm or the Hillhurst monsters. But they do need someone to use the belt, and their candidate is none other than Daiji Igarashi, and of course, who is the middle child of the Igarashi family that own a bathhouse. So, moving forward, the main character is the eldest of the three Igarashi siblings, and his name is Iki, who at first who is a huge football fan, and by football I mean football, not American football. Now, here's the thing: while he does want to be a football star, he does work at at his family bathhouse, and he gives a guy, what it appears to be either an energy coffee or some chocolate milk. But then he hears a voice in his head go, "Oh, you naughty boy! You want to give him diabetes? I see how evil you are." And of course, this scares Icky and goes, "No, you shouldn't drink. You should watch your weight." And of course, the customer is like, "You know what? Yeah, you're right." But the mom gets angry because he scared away another customer. Later on, he ends up does seeing the voice in his head, and it's his own dead man called Vice. And upon finding out that the two of them could see each other, they both get so startled that Icky ends up flying all the way across the room, and of course, hijinks ensues. Moving forward, it's family dinner time. All three siblings and their parents are here, and of course, while everyone's eating, Vice says, "Oh boy, I love to eat too. I'm gonna eat this old woman." So yes, he wants to eat his Icky's mom, and it is not, and unfortunately, it's the literal way. So yeah, he ends up tackling his own mom out of the way to protect her. But of course, Daiji has some wonderful news because he has been made captain of the Phoenix squad. Now, of course, the two brothers, they try to bond over a bath, and Icky still continues to talk about how much he wants to be a football player. It's his dream, and despite being apart, they should try to support each other. Meanwhile, at the Deadman organization, they managed to capture a death row criminal and forcing a vice stamp on him, creating a contract. And yes, it's a literal contract that turns into a mammoth dead man. So I'm guessing we're gonna get our Deno reference right here. Anyways, moving forward. So we go to the promotion ceremony, and yes, I do think that they look like Saiyans in that armor. So the members of Phoenix are entering their ceremony, where they're going to introduce Daichi as the new captain of the squad, and his debut as Kamen Rider Revice. Of course, his family are trying to cheer on for him, and of course, one of his teammates says, "Hey, do you know who these people are?" And of course, he says, no, I don't know who the hell these people are. What are they doing here?" And of course, I am very upset with this guy. I am just very upset with this guy. He already rubs me off the wrong way. I'm just gonna be really honest. He rubs me off the wrong way because no one disses their family like that. What would Don Toledo say if you saw this? What would he say? "Family comes first. No dead man is will ever defeat you because you're part of a family. Anyways, moving onward. Moving onward. So George, who's already my favorite character in the show, exposits that yes, dead men are superhuman demons that are made with contracts from other people, but we do have a way of combating them, and it's through the use of vice stamps. And of course, what are the odds? Dead men start showing up, and we actually see Julio and Olteca in their dead men forms. Meanwhile, while Aguilara maintains her human form, and she manages to summon a bunch of foot soldiers. And honestly, I really like the design on these guys. They low key remind me of a cross between Juzo from Shinkenger and Kamen Rider Skull. Well, not so much Kamen Rider Skull as much as Kamen Rider 15. Like, I really loved this whole part pseudo skeletal design they have to them while maintaining a bit of that yokai flair to them. Anyways, so of course Daiji breaks the glass in order because this is an emergency case, and he pulls out the Revice driver. But unfortunately, when he tries to use it, what ends up happening is that instead of being able to properly bond with his vice stamp, it ends up creating a T-Rex of a dead man. And so yeah, that totally backfired. So the T-Rex dead man is terrorizing everyone. Daiji is too chicken to try to put on the vice stamp all over again. But thankfully, Ikki is able to push him out of the way just in time. And I love my timing for this shot, I swear. Of course, Ikki is met by Vice, and he says, "Listen, man, if you want to take out all these dead men, you got a team. We got to work together. You got to press yourself against the T-Rex stamp in order to be able to help. In order to get me to come out. Once we form a contract, I'd be able to help you fight them." And of course, he's hesitant at first, but then when his own mom gets injured, he knows he has no choice. So he takes the T-Rex Vice stamp and presses it against his chest. This, of course, allows Vice to come out, and he punches the T-Rex dead man so hard it ends up flying across the room. Of course, Vice could not be trusted as he decides to fulfill his promise to eat Ikki's mom. As he's slowly approaching her, he is told by George that in order to tame the dead man, he has to put on the driver. So naturally, he puts the driver on, thus absorbing Vice all over again. And of course, naturally, George is excited because he's finally going to see his dream come true. A common writer that I just created is about to be born. Quick, attach your vice stamp to your belt, and then rotate it sideways a little. And of course, by doing this, he ends up being able to summon Vice in ghost form. And I notice how during mid transformation, it looks like there's a message board. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, upon completing the transformation, armor parts starts coming out of his belt, and some of the armor attaches to Vice, while the rest attaches to Ikki, thus creating Kamen Rider Revi and Kamen Rider Vice. Combined, they become Kamen Rider Revice. Yes, it's a terrible play on word. I get it. And Revi is so strong with a single stump he could practically earthbend, and it looks so awesome. I love earthbending. It is so cool. Like seriously, like not enough people give earthbending credit, so I love that it's actually given some love right here. And of course, he's able to kick so much butt, and Vice is also able to kick a lot of butt. And now they're actually working together, and it's awesome. But of course, at the same time, we don't know if we could trust him or not. And of course, George says, "Quick, take the stamp and press it against your hand. Quickly, do it. Do it now. Do it now." And of course, it ends up summoning his axe gun, which I swear looks kind of familiar. Trying to figure out where I recognize this axe. Oh well, let's kick some more butt, which we do. And of course, they take out all the foot soldiers, leaving only the mammoth and the T-Rex dead man to fight. And of course, and of course, God, I hate this so much. Yes, Vice does fourth wall breaks a lot. Thankfully, this episode he didn't do it as much as the finale for Kamen Rider Saber, but it's still very frustrating. Anywho, so using his finishing move, Icky is able to kill some more of the dead man mooks using this really cool kick that actually creates a bunch of stamp-shaped saw blades that cut them all down. And the thing is, those three foot soldiers were actually holding down Vice. So somehow they managed to the attack managed to destroy all three foot soldiers without harming Vice, which is awesome. Like I love figuring out the utility of this. It's so weird. And of course, he manages to double stamp kick the two monsters at the same time. It was a really nice choreographed move. I really like it. And of course, by using his finishing move, he's able to turn his legs into T-Rex legs. I'm gonna stomp the yard. And of course, he manages to cause both monsters to fly up into the sky, well, he manages to make one of them fly up into the sky, and Vice single-handedly holds down the mammoth monster and goes into a Brazilian jiu-jitsu move where he kicks him up into the air, where the two of them do a double rider kick, and yes, this is so beautiful, thus finishing them off. Of course, George celebrates his first victory, but of course, Icky just returns the belt to him. So I find it interesting. It's not often we see a writer receive his powers on the first episode. In some seasons, I mean, yeah, some seasons, like the last 3 seasons, we see it. But the thing is, in a lot of seasons that are similar to this one, the writers usually already have the belt, and then they use their ability, and then they show how they got their powers in a flashback in a later episode or mid episode. But the point is, it's in a flashback. But the point being is, and what makes this even more rare is that he doesn't want to keep the powers. He was just borrowing it from George, and he just gives it back to him. I'm actually impressed by that because for Aruto, when he became 01, of course he did not want to be 01 at first. He actually signs a contract where he's required to become the president of Hidden Intelligence, though he has to keep the job and keep the belt. So there you go. But here he just returns the belt because he knows he doesn't want it. It belongs to his brother, and of course George is surprised by that, and that makes me curious about what's going to happen in the next episode. And of course, they're in the hospital, and mom wakes up, and everyone is overly excited, and the mom is just, guys, you need to calm down. I'm still resting up. And of course, Vice does another fourth wall break, says, "Wow, what an exciting start to this adventure." And that's the end of the episode. So, what'd you guys think? Did you like the episode? Did you hate the episode? Let us know in the comments, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, let us know. Okay, so here's what I thought of the episode. It's actually pretty good. It's actually not terrible. I mean, it's a little generic, not gonna lie, and it did feel a little fast considering what was happening in the episode, but honestly, it was a pretty solid first episode. I think it introduced a lot of the characters really well. I love that the brother is trained really well in, as a member of Phoenix, and the sister is a martial artist, and you actually do see her do a little bit of fighting in the press room. So I'm really hoping they do something similar to Kamen Rider Black RX, where there were 3 civilians teaming up with Black RX. So you got Joe the Hayes, you got You got the Princess of the Groundwater, who actually does use her groundwater powers to help Black RX. And of course, you got Kotaro's girlfriend, who is a great martial arts in her own right. And the four of them actually do work together to fight the Crisis Empire, even though Kotaro is the only one who was able to transform. Now, here I'm hoping to see more of that same dynamic here because there's no reason for Icky's brother and sister to not help out as civilians. Heck, even in Power Rangers, we see Curtis and Richie fighting putties while the Rangers morph. And I still won't stop complaining about how they just got rid of Curtis and Richie in the second half of Mighty Morphin season 2. And and nevertheless, I still want I do want to see more civilians doing like support work. Heck, even Goto supported Date in Kamen Rider O's, and then they switched roles. And then when they both became writers, you got Erica providing support as well. So just because you're not a writer doesn't mean you can't help out on the field, and I like seeing that. Heck, even Izu like got to do some support work, even though she didn't do any direct fighting. So that's my position on that. The villains, I do want to get to learn about them a little more. I find it interesting how they have this whole Mexican motif, and I get it. Like there's always a national motif for certain characters in Kamen Rider, like in like there's a bit of Germanic for the Kogami organization, and there's a bit of Brazilian at the Coscosur. Um, yeah, and you got the whole French motif in Lupin Ranger, and I get it because Arsène Lupin is French, but still, I like when they have the whole national, like putting a lot of focus into another country's culture, when they do certain heroes and villains. Although I'm gonna be honest though, it feels weird that two of them are dressed up as mariachi performers because I feel like it's overemphasizing the stereotypes a little bit. I mean, it'd be cool if like the third member would have been, I don't know, some kind, like maybe if he was dressed up as an Aztec chief, that would have been interesting. Just some ideas because there's just more to Mexican culture than just mariachi and flamenco. Both are cool, but maybe there could be a third thing that Olteca could have been. But I do love that they have those names like Aguilara, Julio, and Olteca. In fact, if I remember, isn't Olteca the name of like a jaguar god or something? Again, I don't remember my Aztec names very well, and I apologize for that. But I feel like I remember that name from like some Aztec background. At least I think that's what it's from. Um, as for the choreography, wonderful. George, my favorite character by far. So far, my least favorite is Daiji because he's being a jerk to his family by pretending like, oh, I don't know who they are. So far, I give the episode a 10 out of 10. It's not super amazing, but I give it a perfect score because it is a premiere episode. It deserves its own special standards, and I did like this as a premiere episode, and I can't wait to see what happens next because next episode it's going to involve some double action. Not not a Deno reference. It's a W reference, not a Deno reference. Though it should be because the Mammoth Vice stamp. Anyways, what you guys think? Let's go into the comments, shall we? So, hey, I made it. Sorry I missed the last couple of episodes. Hey, it's all good, man. I felt this was a much better than the Revice part of the Saber episode. I was not a fan of the fart jokes. They could have done well, but the one in that episode stank. Ha! Hi, Arutoja Naito. I get it. It's funny. Okay, let's keep the Imagine train rolling. Yeah, and also given the fact that Venom's coming out soon, we can keep making Venom references. First we got Ren and Disaster. Now we got Icky and Vice. So let's see how it goes. I want to read the fine print as well as the terms and conditions of these contracts. I'll be disappointed if we don't learn that all the formulas in build were accurate. Well, actually, all the formulas in build were accurate. I actually had a friend who's a physicist, and while he wasn't a fan of Kamen Rider, he did actually look through the formulas because I told him, "Hey, there's all these physics formulas, and I want you to look at them." And he actually liked looking at the physics formulas, despite not being a Kamen Rider fan. Plus, you got the three finger rule, which I actually had to point out to him, despite him being the physics expert. I was the one who figured out the three finger rule. Okay. I accept the same level of dedication from all writer gimmicks going forward. Yes, I do expect to be disappointed more than it gets me. Okay. It's interesting that the stamps can give different monsters based on the person. The stamp is more of a shared theme than a monster mold. Yeah, I like that. I love that the main writer is not another sword user. It's overused in writer as a whole, and often and after Saber, it's refreshing. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to complain, I suggest you watch Common Rider, Common Rider and Common Rider X Common Rider, Showa versus Heisei, because Takashi Hongo had a similar complaint. It's like, you Heisei writers with your gimmick toys. Back in our day, we just kicked our enemies. And of course, you could also dub his voice with Vegeta saying, "Ha! You look like a fruit, and I mean an actual fruit," because he's an orange. I'm not gonna say the full joke because like out of context, but still, but the joke actually does work because Koto is an orange. So, okay, commentator legend day. Sorry. Oh, commentator leg day finisher. I think you spelled common rider, rider, not tighter. Okay. Common rider leg day finisher. Yeah, never skip leg day. And that's our moral of the day from Wonder Woman. I like this episode. I like the monster designs. Rider family. you know, I wish there was a Common Rider Furious where you got Don Toledo like becoming a rider and he becomes more powerful when he has proximity with his family. Okay, a third amigo. The 1 and 2 rider Revice. Yes, which is the opposite of Common Rider Double, which is the 2-in-1 rider. So you got 3 riders becoming 3 riders, but not in the way you expect them to. And of course, that's it for the comments. Thank you everyone for watching Rider Time Podcast. I am sorry that my good friend couldn't make it, but it is what it is. He'll be here next week, of course. Hopefully, he'll keep his contract. And of course, thank you for watching. Please follow, like, and subscribe. Morphin Network, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, ding the bell icon on YouTube because you got them YouTube algorithms trying to make you make those contracts. And yeah, and of course, if you like this, be sure to check out our previous episodes of Rider Time Podcast where we reviewed Kamen Rider 01 and Kamen Rider Saber as well. And of course, we have on Morphin Network, we have other shows where we review Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, the Boom Studios comics, and when they finally get back on Nickelodeon or Netflix, depending on how it goes, Power Rangers Dino Fury. And of course, other than that, you could also check out our past actor interviews, including Hunter Dino and Tessa Rao of Dino Fury fame, and most recently Samuel Benta from Operation Overdrive. You could catch those both on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to check those out. And of course, if you want to see more content from yours truly, You could find me on Instagram at chrono_just_cosplay, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. And of course, have a wonderful day, guys. You all earned it. Peace.
Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ-owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises such as Dragon Ball, King of the Hill, Sailor Moon, and of course and most importantly, Power Rangers. If you're interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at carsoncorner.com. Link will be down below.
Today's Morphin Network video is sponsored by Ranger Stop and Pop, which is now August the 27th to the 29th, 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia. And Ranger Stop